Okay, everyone. So what is students' responsibility? So the definition of students' responsibility is that students should be given the message that they are responsible for their own behavior and they should be provided with strategies and training to realize that control. Okay, now it's about research and theory. There are 4 elements that I'm going to explain this to you. The first one is self-regulatory techniques, which these techniques range from increasing competence in specific academic areas to increasing classroom participation. The second is teaching social skills. This skill focuses on providing students with strategies for controlling how they react to their peers. And also research shows that this ability is related to students' attitude, their peers' attitude about them, and academic achievement. The third is self-monitoring and control techniques. These techniques are those in which students that are taught to observe their own behavior, record it in some way, compare it in some predetermined criterion, and then acknowledge and reward their own success. The last is cognitively based strategies. This strategy involves examining one's thoughts as expressed in inner dialogue and considering the consequences of actions that are being considered along with alternative actions and then selecting the most effective and positive course of action. And then there are some ways that teachers need to do if we as the teachers choose to involve in completing students' responsibility. Those are cultivate personal relationship with students that go beyond those needed for purely instructional purposes. The second is spend time outside of school hours dealing with students and their families without receiving extra financial compensation for your efforts. The third is deal with complex problems that have developed over a period of years. The fourth is perhaps encounter opposition from school administrators. The last is perhaps encounter resentment or expression of frustration from the students that you are trying to help, their families, or others that may be involved in the situation. And now it's about program. There are 2 programs that I'm going to explain it to you. The first one is the Child Development Project. It is grounded in a cognitive development, constructive approach, and focuses in the long term of pro-social behavior, while de-emphasizing extrinsic control of rewards and punishments. Rather, it emphasizes the use of constructivist strategies for developing social responsibility, intrinsic motivation, and related to pro-social behavior. However, it is only fair to comment that the program does employ traditional classroom management techniques such as the establishment and implementation of rules and procedures. And the second is a violence prevention program. The purpose of the program is to increase children's ability to identify others' feelings, others' perspective, and to respond empathetically to others. For action step 1, employ general classroom procedures that enhance students' responsibility. A number of general practices foster students' responsibility for their own behavior and learning. This includes classroom meetings, using a language of responsibility, written statement of belief, and written self-analysis. For more explanation will be explained by my partners.
The classroom meeting. First, appropriate and place. Determine who can call a class meeting and when it should be held according to standards of appropriate and place. Second, seat students and teachers. This meeting so that they can see the faces of all other class members. 3. Establish the expectation that names not will be used in a class meeting because the purpose of class meeting is to address issue, not people. Next, there is a establish the ground rule meeting. We'll stay on the topic guidelines that participants in a meeting agree to follow in order to make the meeting more productive and enjoyable. Next, there is establish the ground rule. Students have the right not to participate in class meetings. Next, there is encourage or require students to use journals in conjunction with the class meetings. It's important because encouraging reflection, facilitating critical talk, expressing feelings, and writing focused arguments. So, it is the last suggestion involving journals that teachers can use to great advantage in helping students to understand their own behavior. Additionally, students might record their thoughts and reaction in their journals at other strategic time. There is language responsibility, critical terms that might be addressed when using this approach. First point, there is rights. The freedom to express ourselves through language is fundamental human right. Second, freedoms. Listen to one another. In fact, we have a responsibility to listen, because listening allows to extend the freedom of speech to each other. 3. There is equality. The existence of the same level, the same position, no higher or no lower than one another. 4. There is responsibilities. Focuses on taking ownership of your own feelings and actions, speaking directly, and using active with the first person. It also focuses on allowing others to have ownership of their feelings and action rather than accepting to take on responsibility for the feelings of others. 5. There is threats. Are considered to be pure language crimes as they are committed through the act of uttering, threatening words or writing them in a letter. Next, rights and responsibility reverse. First point, to express their opinion. Second, to look around when they need it to. Third point, to get help when they need it. This point can be full if they then agree that with those rights they have the responsibility to. First point, there is expression, opinion about ideas, not people. In this case, students can express an idea or feeling or express themselves to show what they think. Second point, there is move around the room without disrupting others. Students can move to others move where they interested. Third point, there is to try to hardware independently for requesting help. Students must try their ability before requesting for other help. And the last, there is rewards. The rewards mean sexual wisdom, way students will feel happier and better, each right and accepting the accompanying responsibility.
According to Nita statement of an ethos document typically contains like, the first is, all students have a right to be treated with respect. 2. All teachers have a right to be treated with respect. 3. Everyone has the right to feel safe and teaching learning environment. And the last, students are expected to demonstrate a respect for the schools of property. Document like ethos document should be developed with thought and maximum input from students. Okay, I will continue the next material about written statements of belief. When we take time to articulate our belief, we are forced to be precise about those beliefs. According to Cecilia Netaliki, 1998, ethos document. Ethos document is an approach to developing student responsibility that relies heavily on the development of a document referred. This ethos document contains assertions about the belief underlying to expected behaviors in the classroom. Written self-analysis. What is self-defense? Self-defense is a prescribed from to record their analysis of behavioral incident. And what the purpose of self-defense? For students to articulate their perspective on a disciplinary incident in the context of a framework that requires them to examine their responsibility in the matter. Elements of self-defense. The first is that of the incident, and the second, location of the incident. Third, other involved in the incident, and the last, student respond to questions like how I feel I contribute to the conflict, how I feel others contribute to the conflict, how I believe this should be resolved, how can stop this from happening again, and the last question is final agreement relative to the incident.
Step 2. Provide students with self-monitoring and control strategies. Before the first meeting, we as a teacher might spend some time recording the specific of the student behavior problems. Perhaps over a week or two, items that might record include the following. First, the state and time of the incident. Second, the context in which the incident occurred. The specific action of the student. What you did. The student response to your actions. Effects of the incident on the class, on we, and on the student. Our goal is to have the student success in our class and to provide the student with a strategy that can be used in a variety of situations. There are 4 generic bases of self-monitoring and control. Base 1, record keeping and contingent rewards. Notice that the scale of figure moves from an unconscious repetition of the target behavior to an unconsciousness of it, but the counter of it to a consciousness of it, with the same control to a concertation of the behavior. Base 2, monitoring without formal record keeping. In this base, the formal record keeping it is dropped in a replaced but a less obtrusive method of a record keeping. At the first, this might be written. Base 3, no formal record keeping, no reward. In this base, the student still keep record in informal manner, and you and the student still meet weekly to discuss the student behavior. And the base 4, student autonomy. In this base, the student has reached a level of the autonomy. He does not have to meet with you and report on behavior and to receive recognition or reward. Okay, we continue step 3. Provide student with cognitively based strategies. The student commonly employs the same process, which involves the following steps. In this case, we have 4 steps. The step 1, notice when you are becoming angry, annoyed, frustrated, or overwhelmed, and stop whether you are doing. The step 2, ask yourself, what are the different ways I can respond to this situation? The step 3, think about the consequences for each of your opinions. And the step 4, select the action that has the potential for the most positive consequences for you and the others. For younger students, the process might be presented in the following way. First, when you feel like you might do something that is harmful, stop and think. 2, what are some other things you can do? 3, what will happen if you do them? And the last, pick the best one.
Singing low while I pop a bottle off of your chain swinging, clang clang, and it costs a lot. Bitch, I'm always at the guala, yeah, and you are not badass beat. Keep on going till you hit the spot. Whoa, I'm a big bag hunter with the bow. She got a big bed, never drop it low. Mama called me and she happy with the grow. Never ever fall for a party that's a no.
Just pop the Kenny about a million options, so just talking to stop doing agreement.